Welcome back to my channel, Jess M Outdoors. This video is going to show you how we spent 24 hours at Porcupine Mountains Wilderness State Park in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. We stopped at the Visitor Center to grab some maps, which I definitely recommend going there because you can go check out the shop, and they also have some taxidermied specimen in there, which was really cool to check out. We went immediately from the Visitor Center to Summit Peak Observation Tower. The path to the tower is 0.5 miles, but it is completely uphill, so although it's not that far, it isn't flat either. We both really loved this view, and I remember the first time I went here, this stood out to me so much because of how much you can see and how green it was at the time I went. We are here in mid-May, but when I went for the first time, it was in the second week of June, or maybe the first weekend of June, and it was just popping off with the greenery. We really loved this view, and it's special because it's the third highest peak in Michigan at 1,952 feet of elevation above sea level. After visiting the observation tower, we decided to get in a little hiking before heading back to camp for the night, so we drove to Lake of the Clouds and enjoyed the view from above up there. I can't exactly tell you how far we hiked on the Escarpment Trail, but we wanted to see a viewpoint, and we were hoping that the views were more consistent along the trail, so essentially we just hiked out to the first major viewpoint and back, which I think was probably around a mile out. And after that, we headed back to the truck and past Lake Superior on our drive to Presque Campground for the night. I have stayed here once before and loved the views of Lake Superior for the campground, from the campground. So we immediately set up and went to check out the lake. We decided to try and go for a swim. This is definitely the coldest water we've ever swam in, except maybe for when we swam last year in Lake Superior in May, but it was an 80-degree day out, and in this clip here, I think it was maybe 50 degrees. It was dropping that night. It had been like 70 the previous day or so, and tonight was going to be a really cold night, so we made the best of it though. It was so cold, and like at first I really thought I wasn't going to be able to go in, but I went in and out and in and out, and again, like in waves of bravery, I made it out there. Eventually, though, the waves were hitting us so hard and getting us like totally wet and even knocking us over, but it was super fun and felt very refreshing. Everyone else was bundled up for a colder evening, but we had to take a dip, and the sunset was just gorgeous as well. It was absolutely perfect. After the sunset, we went back to camp and quickly made freeze-dried meals for dinner. I haven't camped in 2 years, which is honestly crazy to say because when we lived in Colorado, we dispersed camped like every other weekend. After dinner, we went to the campsite of 2 people we met on the beach, and honestly, I don't regret going, but after everything, it wasn't totally enjoyable in the end, and I would have honestly rather just hung out together, but that's okay. I wasn't really able to film it, but we ended up going to the beach at 1 a.m. to see a bit of the aurora and the stars. The next morning, I woke up before my partner and walked around looking for the woodcocks I heard all night long. This was the first time hearing a woodcock in real life, so it was awesome. There were at least like 5 woodcocks, even close to our tent too, because they were so loud. And I just like imagined how cute they were, but like unfortunately I wasn't able to see any the next morning. But they were going meep, 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 like all night, just like popping off together in like a little symphony of woodcocks. I made breakfast using the ramps we harvested the day before in the Ottawa National Forest. That was an awesome find. We had scrambled eggs with ramp butter, jalapenos, serranos, onion, green onion, tomato, and ramps, and it was really good and fueled us for the day. Then we decided to hike Summit Peak to Mirror Lake, peep the Protect the Porkies sticker on the sign. The loop is 5 miles long, and I've hiked it before, but this time I hiked it the opposite direction, which ended with us at the Summit Peak Observation Tower again. This loop is awesome. There were ramps everywhere, and the Beaver Creek Trail is pretty special and very beautiful. The landscapes, change from forest to crossing little streams, and the views are amazing the whole way through. We stopped for a snack at one of the bridges and even saw a bald eagle just soaring through the sky. So we got many little treats along the way with changes of scenery, and the bald eagle sighting was awesome. and we just loved to look at like all of the flowers and spring growth that was going on. Unfortunately, on this trail, there were a lot of downed trees that we had to go around, and like I think they were even fresh from the winter, because like this one here had literal like growth going on the branches. So I wish that it would have been a little more maintained so that those trails around the trees weren't developing, and also some of the boardwalks were kind of falling apart, literally. At the end, we made it back to the tower and climbed it for one last view before heading home. Although we really enjoyed Lake of the Clouds, this observation deck gives you like two 70-degree views of the park and Lake Superior and islands in the distance, the Apostle Islands. It like could be my favorite view, honestly. And I think my partner said it was his favorite view, even more so than Lake of the Clouds. So it is definitely not to be missed. At the end of the hike, it began raining lightly, and luckily for us, that was the end of our 24 hours in the Porkies. Thanks for checking out this video, and I hope you make it out to the Porcupine Mountains Wilderness State Park in the Upper Peninsula. And don't forget to check out protecttheporkies.com and their Instagram, Protect the Porkies, to see how you can get involved to prevent mining from spilling a bunch of chemicals into this beautiful place. Take care and stay tuned for my next Upper Peninsula adventure, which will be one night of backcountry camping and Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore.